This life is a fight. What are you focused on? There will be doubt. Pain, it's inevitable. But when that bell rings, will you be ready? Welcome, bucket heads. Welcome everybody to the Spit Bucket Podcast. Very special episode of the Spit Bucket Podcast. As we wrap up what's been an incredible, pretty solid 2025 in boxing. We'll be handing out awards today. This is the fourth annual Golden Bucket. We basically just take a look at everything that's gone down, and we play Santa Claus. You might be looking at the Santa hat and say, JJ, it's December 27th. What are you doing? Give it up. Now, man, Christmas is a feeling in here, in my heart. And I'm still feeling more Christmas than I'm feeling work. So I'm going to wear the Santa hat, my friends. I'm going to wear the Santa hat in the spirit of Christmas and the holidays. I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas day. If you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you had some time to relax, enjoy with the family, got some eating in, got some football in, and just relaxing a bit. You know, life goes fast. Life goes fast these days. So it's important that you stop, take a deep breath, look at your wins, look at your L's. L's are for lessons. Shout out to B-Hop. And just come together, spend some time and release and get ready to do it all over again, guys. This life doesn't slow down for anybody, and it's important that we reflect and give ourselves the much needed time off when it happens. So as I mentioned, we'll be doing the 2025 Golden Bucket. We'll be handing out 8 awards today. Obviously a solo guy now. So these awards were picked by me, and I'll explain how I picked these winners. But you know, there's no bias in these. You know, some of these you're gonna see like where I had an opportunity to give a golden bucket to somebody I got relationships with, but no bias, and we're gonna keep these straight up. Some of these were super hard, but we got to make a pick or submit a pick. So before we move on, before we go on any further, I want to take a second to remind you guys to please like this stream. It costs you nothing just to hit like, just to share it. Subscribe to the channel if you're watching on X. If you can subscribe or if you can retweet this, I really appreciate you. Again, much shout out to all of the bucketheads who've been following through all the years. And like I said, 2026 is going to look so different. Really excited about everything we've got coming along. But without further ado, guys, let's get this thing started, man. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to start reading out these categories. Our first award for the 2025 TSB Golden Buckets will be our Prospect of the Year. Got 3 nominees for Prospect of the Year. Left to right, you're looking at Marco Verde, Olympic silver medalist, middleweight, 4-0 out of Mexico. You're looking at Mohamed Alikal, Saudi Arabia fighter. He is fighting out of the United States now. He's 7-0. And you're looking at, I have a hard time pronouncing the name, so y'all have to bear with me, but it's Tomaya Suboy, 3-0, super flyweight. Look, when I pick Prospect of the Years, guys, when I pick my prospect, it looks a little bit different. You know, this year you've seen a lot of people throw Moses Itama out. Last year, Abdullah Mason was getting a lot of picks. So when I look at Prospect of the Year, I look at somebody who's not yet ranked. He's not. Moses Itama is about to be getting opportunities for titles. I believe he might even be ranked number 1 by WBC, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm looking at folks that are. It's a hard category for me because I'm looking at folks that folks aren't necessarily talking about yet. So for me, fuck it. Let's get to the winner. 2025 Golden Bucket winner for Prospect of the Year, Marco Verde, Olympic medalist, Olympic silver medalist, 4-0. And I'll just talk to you why I gave it to Marco Verde, because this one was a little bit difficult. What I like about Marco Verde is that, look, Mexico is in a position where we need a star, right? It's kind of the passing of that torch. Marco Verde is working with Eddie Reynoso and Team Canelo. They're cultivating that. They're going to be putting him in front of opportunity. We saw him open up. He was the first card on the Canelo Crawford fight. So obviously there's going to be opportunities there. Being an Olympic silver medalist, guys, I know we hear Olympians all the time, but it takes something special to medal in the Olympics. It's a grind. It's a lot of making weights. It's a lot of traveling, a lot of uncertainties. So to make it that far in an Olympic setting, in that tournament, says a lot about who you are deep down inside, how you're wired. Look at some of our greats, from the Roy Jones to the Ray Leonard, to just look at our Olympians and look at what they did historically. There's an extra level that a lot of just coming out of amateurs don't have if you haven't been at Olympic. And it's a medal. It's a big thing. So for me, those were kind of the underlying factors. Now you can look at Muhammad Alakal, who's 7-0. He's got a skill set, guys. He's got just natural boxing skills. I like him a lot. And then the same thing with Suboy, who is 3-0, who just came off of an 8-round stoppage against a Carlos Cuadras. Yes, Carlos is a little long in the tooth and he's a little older, but he has a stoppage for his third fight. So all three of these gentlemen, for me, have bright futures. I don't think you can go wrong. But like I said, the differentiator for me was that Olympic pedigree and the potential for opportunities. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Marco Verde in that 160, 168 mix-up. And like I said, there is a torch to be handed now coming out of Mexico. He's got the pedigree. He's got the support system around it. It seems like he's got the mindset. So congratulations, 2025 Prospect of the Year, Marco Verde, for the Spit Bucket Golden Bucket. So we'll keep it moving. We'll check chats. We'll check comments, see what anybody thinks about that. In the meantime, let's get ready to move on to our next category, which will be Trainer of the Year. This is where folks start to get to throw in a little bit what their opinions are. So with that said, without further ado, I will put up my nominees for Trainer of the Year for the 2025 TSB Golden Bucket. And here they are. Left to right, Shingo Inoue, Robert Garcia, Brian Bomac McIntyre, and Rudy Hernandez. I'm talking about a loaded board of nominees. I don't know how you could go wrong with these, but you got to pick one. You got to pick one. My 2025 TSB Golden Bucket for Trainer of the Year goes to none other than Shingo Inoue. Shingo Inoue is special, guys, and we don't talk about him enough. For me, what sets him apart, it's not just the winning, it's how his fighters are responding when things don't go perfectly. For example, Inoue getting put on the canvas by Cardenas earlier this year. Came back and dominated that fight. Takuma Inoue lost his world title last year, came back, won another strap this year. So their ability to be resilient, bounce back, and keep that dominance. I mean, how long have we been talking about Naoya Inoue? We've been talking about him for a long time. And I say this all the time, like, it is hard to defend titles. It's hard to defend titles because you're looking at the best performance. You're looking at the best effort, the best camp from your opponent. So for Shingo to keep his boys focused on the task at hand and not to get caught up smelling their own success or overlooking opponents, I think he has done a tremendous job. Left to right, let's just talk about why I didn't give to Robert Garcia, Bomac, or Rudy. Now, Robert has had a tremendous year. How can you look past Bam and Virgil and them, what Bam has been doing, the position Virgil's in now? Robert Garcia was our Trainer of the Year last year. Seemed like he wasn't as active this year. I would have no problem with you handing him the Trainer of the Year award. I haven't given Inoue a Trainer of the Year. He continues to prove himself. So I just felt it was time that we took a second to acknowledge that. With Bomac, Bomac is Bomac. Obviously, how do you ignore the Terrence Crawford superb performance against Canelo? How do you ignore the first Chris Eubank fight? But for me, you had okay. The Crawford was one fight, but we remember the Keyshawn kind of meltdown, and now Keyshawn's getting a new team. We remember the second Chris Eubank fight with Conor Benn, and you know, I though I think the world of Bomac, you know, it could have. There were other things that, in my opinion, kept him from being that trainer of the year. He's been the trainer of the year for Spit Bucket before 2 years ago. So salute to Bomac. And then Rudy Hernandez. You know, we just saw Junto win a close decision. What he's doing with Anthony Olusawa, Rudy is a real one. You cannot deny his greatness. You cannot deny his talent. And we're looking at a showdown between him and Inoue coming up in 2026. But all great talent, all great years, all great stables. But for me, we had to take a second and give Inoue his flowers for the incredible run that he's had with his two boys. And look, Naoya Inoue isn't done, man. He's not done. He's 32 years old. He's had a hell of a legacy. But he's not done. So salute, shout out to Trainer of the Year, Shingo Inoue, for his work that he's done with both Inoue boys, for facing adversity and still seeing the success. 2025 TSB Golden Bucket winner for Trainer of the Year goes to Shingo Inoue. Big salute. Looking forward to what you got lined up for 2026, sir. Check out these comments. Robert was my pick. I agree. I mean, I see that. Like I said, I had no problem. Robert Garcia, man. He was our defending TSB Golden Bucket winner. But at some point, dog, like at some point, you just gotta give the man his flowers, right? You know. He's doing some amazing things, dog. All right, now we're getting to the violence. Let's go to the knockout of the year, I believe is what I had next. Prospect, trainer, knockout of the year, guys. Make sure I have everything set up here. Prospect, knockout. All right. So let me throw up my nominees this year for knockout of the year. Jai Opataya, Brian Norman Jr., and Bam Rodriguez. Look, guys, this one was tough. And I had to narrow it down for these three, all right? I had to narrow it down for these three. I'm going to do this one a little bit. No. We'll go ahead and announce the winner. There was a lot of good nominees this year. Not just those three guys. We just saw what happened to Jake Paul. We saw Ramon Cardenas on the Pro Box card 2 weeks ago. Like, there's been some damn good knockouts. But I'm going to explain why I picked my pick. My pick this year for knockout of the year goes to Jai Opataya. Jai Opataya, the cruiserweight sensation that is tearing it up. But I only have one reason I picked him, and it's because, guys, I'm about to throw up some clips. He gave us two. He gave us two nominees. There's the first one. Jai Opataya beating up David Naika earlier this year. You had the standing up, put him out on his feet, kind of like Virgil did Lubin, and he's out. And then we take it over to the Hussein Sincaro fight earlier about 2 weeks ago. Sincaro on his back. Wham! Good night. So for that, Jai Opataya is my recipient for the 2025 knockout of the year. But guys, I'd be silly not to at least throw these other ones up for you. The other two that I had lined up. Bam Rodriguez. Bam Rodriguez with the smile on his face right before he put out Puma. Puma Martinez. It was hard not to pick this. Wham! I zoomed in on the smile so you could take a look. I think you see it again here. There's a smile, and there's the finish against this is a unification fight. Puma was a hell of a, Puma is Puma. And then Brian Norman Jr. going to Japan, defending the strap against Jin Sasaki. Just take a look at this. jab to the belly. Jen tries to do the jab to the belly. Wham! Hey, look, I wanted to give this to Brian Norman too. Look, you got Bam, the Texas kid. I have a relationship with the Normans. You know, Coach and Brian are my boys. I didn't want there to be any room for speculation that I was being biased. I mean, that was a sensational knockout from both those guys. Bam with the smile on a unification fight. Brian Norman Jr., that knockout essentially set up the Haney fight. Had everybody talking. Was Brian Norman's title run just a fluke? Is he going to be able to defend in somebody else's backyard? But, man, I had to go with Jai again, Jai Opetaia with the two nominees, the two sensational knockouts. So salute to Jai Opetaia, the 2025 recipient for the TSB Golden Bucket for knockouts with the S, plural, knockout of the year. Salute. I hope y'all aren't too shady with my logic there or too upset with the logic there. We had to really think tiebreaker, and no better way than say, hey, you gave us two nominees, so thank you. All right. This is where it's gonna get fun. This is where it's going to get fun, guys. Let me make sure I got all my notes up. Knockout of the year, two devastating finishes, upset of the year. Upset of the year. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of upset people. What's up, Chris Henderson, bro? What's up, my boy Indo? Keep on working, baby. Appreciate you tuning in, bro, from the X. All right. Upset of the year. Here goes my nominees for the 2025 TSB Golden Bucket for Upset of the Year. We have Armando Resendez for his split decision win over Caleb Plant. Lamont Roach. Yeah, Lamont Roach with his draw against Trevante Tank Davis. And how can you look past Terrence Crawford making his debut at 168 after stopping at 154 for one fight? One fight. Not stopping at 160, not stopping at 168, and going straight in to the belly of the beast to fight the superstar, Canelo Alvarez. Three great recipients, or three great nominees, in my opinion. All of them have a case. I'm going to check these comments before. There it is. There. What's up to the homie Boxing and Barbecue? What's up, bro? I hope you brace with me because I'm about to give out the upset of the year. Nominees again: Resendez against Caleb Plant, Roach against Tank Davis, and Bud Crawford against Canelo Alvarez. My winner for the 2025 TSB Golden Bucket for upset of the year, Lamont Roach. That's right. The upset of the year goes to Lamont Roach for his masterclass. Shut everybody up, including me, against, what was he called? A face of boxing? Gervonta Tank Davis, the knockout artist, the undefeated, the best at 135. He can beat anybody. We're going to throw him up against heavyweights. We're going to do whatever we want with him. Taking a knee and getting a draw against a lightweight champion. 130. No. 130 pounder. Sorry. 130 pounder. Coming up and get a draw. A draw, guys. Now look, here is why I pick Lamont Roach. I refuse to let boxing's incompetencies affect my decision making. We all know what happened on that fight. The draw alone, huge upset. Gervonta was a huge favorite. The draw alone was a huge upset. But we know what happened. That fight should have been a win for Lamont Roach. The points should have been deducted, and we should be talking about Lamont Roach, the new champ. Yeah, he had a draw against Isaac Cruz, another one. A close draw. He'd still be champ. So for me, the upset of the year was Lamont Roach. Not just because it was an upset, but the draw upset a lot of people. The decision The draw upset a lot of people because they know it should have been a win. The draw upset Vegas. And then me giving this award to Lamont Roach is going to upset a whole lot of you because Tank Davis didn't lose. He didn't get the L. Yeah, he did. He pretty much retired Tank Davis. I know a lot of y'all don't want to hear that. Tank Davis had a gimme. What was it called? A boxing what the hell that was called? That exhibition, blah, blah, blah. And he's gone. He's done. Lamont retired him mentally. He's checked out. Don't want nothing to do with the sport. So salute to Lamont Roach, the 2025 recipient for upset of the year, coming out and doing what he was supposed to do against the heavily favored Tank Davis and getting robbed by an incompetent ref who made a terrible decision. I think the world of Willis, I think the world of the athletic commissions who protect our fighters, but they did Lamont Roach wrong. And now you're sitting it. Now the guy you gave you made the decision for it and doing nothing for the sport. So that's my decision for upset of the year. Talk a little bit about the other fights, though, man. You know, the Resendez against Caleb Plant, nobody saw that coming. Armando Resendez coming in at 15-2 against somebody who's been in there with Benavidez, with Canelo, and put up good fights against him. And it just may have been kind of the end of the road for Caleb Plant. He's had a lot of super fights, and that's exhausting, man. That's exhausting, especially when you already made that money. I know we don't like to talk about that too much, but when you make that money, it changes things a little bit. That preparation, that hunger, just not there. So great opportunity for Resendez. We'll see what he does with that. And then obviously Terrence Bud Crawford, the amazing performance that he pulled off against Canelo Alvarez. I didn't pick him as upset of the year because I was picking him to win that fight, as were a lot of people. As crazy as that fight looks on paper, as crazy as the results of that fight look on paper, a lot of people weren't shocked by it, like we were with Lamont Roach and what he pulled off against Tank Davis. Look, I, for one, gave Lamont Roach no chance at that fight. I know he's a tremendous talent, but I think Gervonta is special and elite. And salute Lamont for shutting me the hell up and everybody up. And I know you've seen your adversity, and I know you feel you've had some bad decisions. Keep grinding, dog. You're here for a reason, and that adversity is going to build you, bro. So, again, one more time, upset of the year, Lamont Roach. Big-time shout-out, big-time salute. Hell of a performance. And 2026 is in your hands, brother. You do what you want with it, dog, so don't let up off the gas. All right, man, so next up, we have fight of the year. We still have fight, performance, female fighter, and fighter of the year. Nominees for fight of the year for me. I'll throw them up. Sam Noakes versus Abdullah Mason, vacant WBA lightweight strap. We had Chris Eubank Jr. versus Connor Ben. And no straps involved, just intense rivalry. And surprising fight that turned out to be a fight of the year candidate. Naoya Inoue versus Ramon Cardenas out of San Antonio. An absolute great fight, some back and forth moments. But for me, the winner of the fight of the year, none other than, surprisingly, Chris Eubank Jr. versus Connor Ben. Throw up some quick highlights. And I'll tell you what, man, fight of the year for me, it wasn't about the hype. I wasn't expecting anything from this fight. I wasn't expecting a classic. But let me tell you guys, when the bell rang, I was out of my seat. I couldn't sit down. This fight, look, I've slowed down tremendously in terms of like getting overhyped and excited and jumping out of my seats. I don't know if I'm just getting older. But I don't go crazy that much anymore. This was the first fight because I have a little 22-month-old daughter. This was the first fight that she saw me jumping out of my seat, screaming, jumping up and down like a jackass. And I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting all that type of fight. But you're talking about the momentum swings, no feeling out rounds. There were no dead moments. That this kind of fight remind me of those fights where why you love boxing when the expectations don't necessarily matter and the fight takes over. Um, so me personally, I did not. You can go back and look at my Twitter feed. I didn't talk much about the fight. I didn't say much about it. I wasn't that excited. I was like, this is just two guys living off the legacies of their dads and whatever. I see the money. What a fight. What a fight. That fight was intense for me. I know there were no belts on the line. Um, but just what fight did I enjoy the most this year? What fight did I go back and watch a couple of times out of pure enjoyment? It was Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. So salute to them, guys. Now let's talk a little bit about the fight, the nominees. Abdullah Mason, Sam Noakes. What a fight! Young talent. A lot of questions that we didn't know about either guys that still need to remain to be answered. And man, oh man, did they answer them. They put it all on the line. Abdullah Mason answered questions about his chin. Noakes answered questions, and Noakes proved that he belongs here. Abdullah Mason got the win, new champ, but hell of a fight. And then obviously you go to Inoue and Cardenas. Cardenas at the time I believe was 29, 30-year-old, felt the time was his, knew the world would be watching, and he wasn't intimidated. He didn't crumble at the thought of fighting the monster. He was in there, landed a beautiful left hook, put the monster, number one pound for pound king on his ass, and he hung in there for another 3-4 rounds until Inoue finished him off. And what a great fight. I had the privilege of being there. The place was rocking, and look what it did to Cardenas' career. Put him on the map. We just seen Cardenas on a pro box card. He knows that he set the bar high for himself. And look what he did. Finished with another devastating knockout that could have been knockout of the year. So these guys are putting themselves in position. These guys are taking advantage of the opportunities. And again, big time congratulations to Chris Eubank and Conor Benn for a sensational performance. A shout out to Conor Benn for coming back and looking even stronger in the rematch and getting the win over Chris Eubank. Again, I hope nobody's upset with the decision. I know this was an American fight. I'm leaving all bias at home. I'm talking about what I like the best. And yeah. Well, let's keep it moving, guys. Let's keep it moving. We've got 3 more awards to hand out. We have Performance of the Year, Female Fighter of the Year, and Fighter of the Year. Without further ado, let's get this on. We have our female fight nominee, female fighter. Oh, no. Actually, we're doing Performance of the Year next. Performance of the Year for me, just to kind of give you an idea of what I look at. TSB created this this award back in 2023 after Bud stopped Errol Spence in an incredible performance. But we just felt we couldn't give him Fighter of the Year because that was his only fight that year. There was a lot of fighters who were doing much better things or doing a lot more. I don't know if he could do better than what he did to Spence. So we created the Performance of the Year award. So with that said, I don't remember who we gave it to last year, to be honest with you. Oh, we gave it to Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor last year. And then obviously the year before, Terrence Crawford for his win against Spence. This year, our 3 nominees for the TSB 2025 Performance of the Year. Devin Haney with his incredible performance against Brian Norman Jr. Virgil Ortiz against Erickson Lubin, 2nd round stoppage. Shut a lot of people up. We wanted to see Ortiz get some rounds. We thought we'd get some rounds. And then, of course, Terrence Bud Crawford making the move up. Well, we don't need to say anymore to do what he did against Canelo Alvarez. All three of those performances, in my opinion, were great. Devin Haney shut a lot of people up. Bud shut a lot of people up. Virgil shut a lot of people up. But for me, the winner for Performance of the Year, and now a 2-time winner, Terrence Bud Crawford with his win over Canelo Alvarez. Guys, I just don't see how you can look past this. I mean, I know the scores were close. I know the scores technically were 1 round away from being a draw. But you're talking about a little guy. I know I got the video playing, but I'm doing air quotes. A little guy who's never stepped foot in that division against a guy who's ran that division for years. He's taken the belts from everybody individually multiple times. And what Bud Crawford went in there and did was it just showed dominant, confident, discipline, greatness. It showed everything, man. And a lot of people A lot of people gave Terrence Crawford the fighter of the year nod, and I get it. He set history. That's historical what he did. Like it's unheard of, and I doubt it gets done in our lifetime again. I mean, the way he did it. I know he gets a lot of criticism because he was a one and done. He didn't go and take the belts from individual 168 fighters, but the way he did it, not stepping foot into that division, no tune-up fights, not stepping foot at 160, going straight to the king. That has to be a performance for the ages, not just for the year. In my opinion, what he did to Canelo was more impressive than what he did to Spence. Even though the Spence fight was damn near a shutout, there was a lot of I don't buy any of it, but the accident with Errol, the injury with Errol. Look, with Canelo, people say he's old. No, he wasn't. Canelo fought that fight the exact same way he's been fighting since Caleb Plant. The exact same way. He didn't do anything different. Now, can you say these past 4 years is different than what we saw Canelo before 2021? Sure. But that version of Canelo that we saw against Crawford, that wasn't somebody who aged overnight. He fought the exact same way. And Crawford exposed it. He acknowledged it. He went in there with a game plan that was perfect for that Canelo. Salute Terrence Crawford, performance of the year. And hey, man, enjoy retirement, dog. You earned it, in my opinion. I've been very vocal about my thoughts about Terrence Crawford as far as how much he respects the sport, how much he's given to the sport, his discipline. And, man, I have nothing negative to say about Terrence Bud Crawford besides a congratulations, hell of a career, and a thank you, dog. Thank you for some great fights. Thank you for doing it the right way, bro. But let's talk a little bit about the nominees. Devin Haney against Brian Norman Jr. Obviously, I couldn't put the whole picture that's up there on the screen, but that was after he shocked the world and dropped Norman down. Look, that fight, I'm talking to myself here, shocked me. I was picking a Brian Norman big win because of what I had seen mentally from Devin Haney in the previous 12 months. Haney came out and was fearless. He was in the pocket. He stood in there with Norman and he dominated. Yeah, he was mobile, but he was standing in the pocket though, and he was exchanging, and he won a violent, impressive, no controversy at all fight against Brian Norman Jr. after a lot of people, including me, thought he was done. I thought Haney was washed. I thought the Ryan Garcia took too much off of him. I saw how he looked against Ramirez, and I thought Haney was done. I predicted a career ender against Brian Norman Jr. And Haney shut me up with a beautiful, superb performance that's going to essentially launch pad 2026 for him to what could be an insane resurrection to a career where a lot of folks were calling him done. And then, of course, Virgil Ortiz, who's still hungry for that opportunity, who still wants to show the world, who you can see is fighting with that chip on his shoulder. He puts Lubin out in 2 rounds, which was supposed to be a competitive fight. Some people were picking Lubin to win. So Virgil Ortiz making quick work of Erickson Lubin, for me, should be discussed as a nominee for Performance of the Year. And Virgil and Devin have set themselves up to have a pretty solid 2026. Both guys needing somewhat of a resurrection. Haney after the Ryan Garcia drama, the Ramirez fight, the lawsuits. Virgil after all of the injuries, having to pull out of fights, just the noise, the echo chambers that he's ducking and all that. Both have a lot to prove and both continue to prove. So salute to both those guys. But again, Terrence Crawford, amazing performance. Could be fighter of the year with that performance. I didn't put him there as fighter of the year with that performance, but we'll talk about that here in a bit. Let's keep it moving, guys. Now we're talking about the ladies, the beauties of boxing. The ones who show us we can do what you do, fellas, but y'all can never do what we do. And in terms of what they go through monthly, in terms of how they raise babies inside of their bodies. Salute to the ladies. I, for one, can't stand. I don't like watching the ladies getting punished, but man, they got some big giant heart. But my nominees this year for the 2025 TSB Golden Bucket for Female Fighter of the Year, left to right, Alicia Baumgartner, 130 pounder undisputed champ, 17-1. You've got Gabriela Fundora, undisputed, undefeated, 17-0, and then Clarissa the Goat Shields. How can you ignore Clarissa? What she's done this year in the heavyweight division, and she continues to solidify her legacy. But this year's recipient for the 2025 TSB Golden Bucket for Female Fighter of the Year goes to none other than Gabriela Fundora. Gabby Fundora was our winner last year. So she's a back-to-back Female Fighter of the Year for the Golden Bucket. Look, man, what she did with Alexis Kubicki, Marilyn Badillo, both seventh-round stoppages, if I'm not mistaken. You have a case, and I'm about to make the case for Baum and Shields. But how Fundora is winning. She's stopping these girls. She's making it look easy. And then here's the one factor that I put her above Shields. Some call her a weight bully. I think weight bully. I think the weight bully conversation is ridiculous. She is a tall girl. She comes in a big package. She's got a lot of room to grow, and she's choosing to still continue to make the weight, to still fight at the smaller weights, which is a difficult thing to do, especially with that stature. And then she's ending these fights in knockouts. So for me, when I'm comparing her to Clarissa, and this isn't a shot at Clarissa, but I have to call it like I see it, man. I respect the hell out of Clarissa Shields. I think she's probably the best to ever do it. But my issue with Shields at this point in her career is that she's choosing to fight heavyweight. And that looks cool on paper, and it looks cool on legacy, and it looks cool to say one day, yeah, I was the heavyweight champion of the world. But we all know that in women's boxing, the heavyweight division just doesn't provide competition. It just doesn't. And we also know that it's a little easier to make weight. So Clarissa knows she's far athletically and IQ and everything superior than her competition. So when in the men's division, you would get the pat on your back for moving up. For Clarissa Shields, that is what's holding her back, in my opinion, for being the 2025 female fighter of the year. It's holding her back because I think she's choosing to fight lesser competition. She's choosing that. And Fundora is choosing to make the weight. And she's taking it a step further, and she's getting these girls out of here. They're not going to the hands of the judges. Fundora just seems a little more focused on boxing right now. You can blame the age. She's a little bit younger than Shields and Baumgartner. Shields is, working on her relationship. She's working on her career outside of boxing, and salute to her. But for just pure boxing, 2025 for me, Fundora fit that. Baumgartner, she also defended twice, like Clarissa, like Fundora. But with Baumgartner, again, her fight against what was it? Jennifer Moran, yeah, it wasn't anything to write home about. It was a good performance. I think Baumgartner deserves extra talking points because her last fight against Layla, Bodorn, whatever it is, those were 12 3-minute rounds, guys. That's a 36-minute fight. That's fighting like the fellas. So I wanted to lean that way a little bit more, but I still think that Fundora's style, Fundora's just focus on boxing. Fundora's ready to go on to the next one. She got a nice game plan. I just feel Fundora is more boxing focused right now, not taking anything away from the other two ladies who are doing a tremendous job with their career. But one more time, winner for the female fighter of the year, the TSB 2025 Golden Bucket goes to Gabriela Fundora. Congratulations, champ, and I look forward to a wonderful 2026 as maybe you start to track up. I know you mentioned you might want to stick around for a while at your way, but it looks like you may have an opportunity to start moving up and start collecting more belts. All right, guys, we're getting close to the end of this thing as we wrap up in my Santa hat, and we've given out 7 gifts, and now we're going to give out our 8th one. This is for our fighter of the year. Left to right. Terrence Bud Crawford. Got a lot of nominations today for Terrence Bud Crawford. Right there in the middle, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, undisputed, multi-division, continues to defend and unify. And Naoya Inoue, who as of this morning has had 4 title defenses in this year 2025. 4 successful title defenses, guys. With that said, I'll just go ahead and get straight to the winner. The winner for the 2025 TSB Golden Bucket for Fighter of the Year. We just saw him this morning. Now he's a 2-time winner for Fighter of the Year. Congratulations, Naoya Inoue. I don't have any clips of this morning's fight, but we've seen an incredible year, man. Before this morning was the 3 defenses, and now this morning with just a dominant shutout this morning. But you see the pictures on the screen. Inoue has faced adversity. He's putting himself in front of tough competition. You know, obviously they're not the monster. And he's getting these wins, and he continues to dominate, guys. He continues to dominate. Look, there's his fight against MJ. For the longest time, everybody said, well, that MJ fella's going to be the one who gives it to Inoue, or at least make him look human. No, he continues to dominate. And I know there was a case for Bud Crawford. I know there's a case for Bam Rodriguez. I know there's a case for the American fighters, right? But, man, how can you ignore the activity? How can you ignore the style and how he wins these fights, how he takes chances? I put out the tweet earlier this year that was my first million-view tweet where I said, those of you who call Inoue chinny, Inoue has the ability to win all of these fights by decision easily. He can do it, but he puts himself in harm's way. For who? For us, the fans, to give us a show. That's why he got put on his ass against Cardenas, because he puts himself. But look, the rest of that fight, he took that left hook away. Not by running, not by moving too much, not by excessive holding, by a real quick, just a shift in his angle. He didn't have to move distance. He just shifted a little bit now his stance, and that Cardenas left hook was taken away. So look, I've said it on multiple occasions, over and over again, defending your belt is difficult. It's one thing to become a champ. It's another thing to defend your title. Inoue did it 4 times this year against solid competition. He is the 2025 Fighter of the Year. I don't understand how. Look, I get what Bud did. And let's talk about the other guys a little bit. Bud fought 1 time, though. 1 time against a Canelo that those of us who watched the game saw what Bud saw. All right. And I'm not taking anything away from that win. It was an incredible win. It was a very dangerous fight. He could have got hurt in there. Let's be honest. Canelo's been in there with some big guys. But the problem with that is it was just 1 fight. So when you have 365 days to prepare for 1 fight, yeah, I hope it's the performance of the year. Inoue had to do that 4 different times this year, guys. So, and then let's talk Bam Rodriguez, who has unified. He's fighting tough competition. He fought Puma. He fought Puma and Kafu. Both fights were supposed to be tricky, tough fights. And the way Bam got rid of them, got him out of there, is superior. Look, we didn't know what this fight was going to look like this morning. And I had a slide ready to give this award for Bam Rodriguez had Inoue lost this morning. That's how I see Bam Rodriguez. Bam was this close to being Fighter of the Year for me this year. And then obviously upset of the year would have been Alan Picasso versus Naoya Inoue. But no, big salute to Bud. Big salute to Bam. Superior talent, elite talent, generational talent that have, one just closed out his career and the other, hell, Bam could close out his career right now and have a Hall of Fame career. But Inoue continues to add to the legacy. He continues to do what a lot of these American fighters don't want to do. And what is that? Fight. Stay active. He continues to dominate and show up focused. He doesn't overlook his opponents. He shows up ready. And, guys, we have a super fight in May lined up. If everything still continues to go the way it looks, Junto Nakatani got his decision to win this morning. That was a little closer than what a lot of us expected. That 118-110 card was a little wild. Inoue got the decisive UD this morning. So we should have a Nakatani Inoue super fight in May, probably the biggest fight in the history of Japan. And if that fight goes away, I think it is, we're still going to be talking about Inoue 12 months from now. So anyhow, guys, that's the show. That's 2025. What a year. Let's just do one more recap of these winners. Prospect of the year, Marco Verde, 4-0, Olympic silver medalist, middleweight out of Mexico. Trainer of the year, Shingo Inoue, for the work he's done with his two boys. The Inoues, obviously the monster is just doing insane things. Knockout of the year went to Jai Opataya for his two sensational knockouts against Sin Cara and Naika. Upset of the year, Lamont Roach earns the draw, should have been victory over Tank Davis. Nobody saw this coming. This should easily be upset of the year for everybody. Fight of the year, Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. Kind of a surprise for me knowing me. A, this isn't an American fight. B, this wasn't for straps. This didn't do anything to really move the sport along, which usually disqualifies you. However, fight of the year had me on my feet. I wasn't anticipating much for this fight, and it completely made me do a 180 with how I saw this fight. Hell, it was the reason one of the big reasons I subscribed to DAZN's Ultimate Pack, because they were throwing that rematch in there. So big salute to Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn. Performance of the year, Terrence Bud Crawford over Canelo Alvarez. If you've got anything negative to say about Terrence Crawford in this fight, I suggest you switch sports, because the man is an icon. The man is a legend. I've been watching a lot of Terrence Crawford Classic on the HBO Classic channel, and the man is just a superior elite talent. Salute to Terrence Crawford. Salute to a hell of a career. Salute to etching your name forever in the history books. Terrence Bud Crawford, 2024 Performance of the Year, or 2025 Performance of the Year recipient. Female Fight of the Year, Gabriela Fondora, as she continues to live up to the family name, the Fighting Fondoras. She continues her wrath of domination as she continues to stop these women and defend her belts, plural. Supreme talent, supreme career already, and the future is wide open for her. And then, of course, our last recipient, our last award, Fighter of the Year 2025 TSB Golden Bucket, Naoya Inoue, 4 title defenses. He has seen some adversity. He keeps lining these fights up. We've already got a next fight lined up. How is that? How unheard of is that for the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world, just to have these fights lined up, these super fights? Well, with that said, guys, just one last quick reminder to please follow our socials. Twitter, the Spit Bucket. We're the Spit Bucket on Twitter. Facebook page, the Spit Bucket Podcast. IG, the Spit Bucket Podcast. TikTok, Spit Bucket Podcast. And, of course, YouTube, the Spit Bucket Podcast. Just give us a follow. Please like, subscribe, share. I appreciate everybody sticking with TSB through this year. Obviously, made a lot of changes. Closed out the year a little slowly. It was a lot of moving pieces and moving parts, a lot of things I'm still working on my end. But 2026, we're going to come in with a lot more action, a lot more work. We're going to keep the boxing-centric focus. We're going to keep talking about the fights. We're going to keep bringing on the fighters for interviews. We're going to keep going to the fights. But we're also going to keep talking about men, fatherhood, marriage, mental health, all that sort of stuff to keep all of us locked in on the same page. And so we can be a platform, an ear, somewhere where you can voice your thoughts to, man, because there's a lot in here that we got to get out and can't be holding it in. And if us fellas don't look out for each other, there's just not a lot of places for us to go right now. We have to look out for each other. So with all that said, guys, thank you guys for an incredible year. Another year in the books. January 2nd is about to be the 4-year anniversary for our first episode. January 2nd, 2022, the first episode. So thank you guys very much. We appreciate the support. I love the continued support. Congrats to all of our nominees. A lot of those were really difficult to pick. A lot of those could have been winners. But thank you guys for putting on a sensational 2025. We look forward to an amazing 2026. Keep rocking with the Spit Bucket Podcast, guys. We appreciate you, and we will talk to you real soon. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll see you on the other side in 2026. This life is a fight. What are you focused on? There will be doubt. Pain, it's inevitable. But when that bell rings, will you be ready?